Are the Auburn Tigers pivoting on their quarterback recruiting?
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast in a crossover edition with Locked On Auburn. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Moderate Money. Take control of your finances with Moderate Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at moderatemoney.com for 50% off your first year. Auburn seems to be switching, if you will, with regards to their quarterback recruitment. Is it for any particular reason? Does Auburn really need to get a quarterback in this class? It's elite. A lot of questions to figure out, and to help me figure that out, there he is, that guy.
Yes.
Zac Blackerby from Locked On Auburn. How nice of you to stop in, sir. How nice of you.
Well, it's so funny. You and I were talking yesterday, and it dropped on this morning's edition of Locked On Auburn, the latest with Travis Burgess, the quarterback from Grayson. It was a 50-50 battle between Auburn and North Carolina. We were speculating like, okay, North Carolina's gaining steam. It seems like maybe now it's a North Carolina lean. What does Auburn do? And then you called me like an hour ago and you're like, hey, Landon Duckworth news. What's going on? So it seems like Auburn's on it.
This is a rather intriguing recruitment. Duckworth has a million different tentacles to him. He's very talented. He's from Jackson, Alabama, southern part of the state, maybe an hour or so from Mobile. Great program. Kroll, the big-time running back, is at his high school. Auburn wants him. Bama wants him. The free world wants him.
Yeah, who doesn't? Right.
Duckworth, though, was committed to South Carolina as a sophomore. I saw him last year at an Auburn practice, talked to him a little bit. Great kid, athletic as all get out. He's my best comparison is he's basically Deuce Knight. I don't know if he's quite that athletic, but right-handed, but like he's a hooper, all the same kind of things. And he's a kid that's still learning the quarterback position, but he's got a gun. Georgia's after him. South Carolina's after him. Auburn's after him. Florida State. Ole Miss. His list is elite. But we didn't think because of Travis Burgess that Auburn was really in it. And then we concluded that podcast, and you and I were pretty satisfied with it, to be honest. And then that's why I called you today. I'm like, okay, man, this is.
Let's hop back on. Let's continue the discussion. So, of course, the news that happened today, Landon Duckworth he's expected to take an official visit. The first official visit of his will be to Auburn unless things change. That is slated for May 16th. So, 2 weeks from now, which is kind of crazy. And then 2 weeks after that, an official to Georgia on May 30th. June 6th, he'll take an official to South Carolina, as you said, where he used to be committed. An official to FSU on June 13th, and then an official to Ole Miss on June 20th. So just from the Auburn perspective, the Auburn point of view, you get the first official visit of a long streak of officials to highly respectable programs, especially on the recruiting front. If you're Auburn, how do you handle this versus maybe the other schools because you are first on the list?
There's two ways you could look at it. You can play super coy, just show them Auburn. I mean, you're an Auburn grad, and I live here. It's a pretty easy sell. Either that works or it doesn't. Or, because this visit's May 16th, his second visit is Georgia. So that's a really important one. I talked to you about that on the phone today. You could put the heat on and say, look, we're probably not going to get Burgess or however you want to pitch that, but we need a decision out of you because we need to know if we need to get in on somebody else because we need to get a quarterback in this class. I have no idea what direction they want to go. In general, I don't think they put a lot of screws to guys because they let Auburn kind of simmer. And the kids that want to come, Hugh's even talked about this. You know, we want guys that want to be here and vice versa. Good for both. And I'm like, okay, I applaud that. Sure. Quarterback, when you miss, what happens when you miss a quarterback, Zach? How well does that turn out for a program?
It doesn't, but, does it hurt as much now as it used to?
There it is.
Probably not. I mean, especially when you look at Auburn's quarterback room, none of these guys were on the team a year ago. And the quarterback room, I think, is much better than it was a year ago and the year prior to that. So you can reload a room, but it is an interesting sales pitch. And I don't know if that's a tightrope you want to balance on. every single offseason, just totally rebuilding a room because you're having to pitch, okay, hey, you can come in and start, but you also have to pitch to other guys. You're probably not going to play. You're going to be a backup, but like we need you here, which is what they did with Ashton Daniels, which is an underrated offseason recruitment win by a program, I think. Then obviously you bring in your freshman and Deuce Knight. But I don't think you can navigate doing that every single year. One, it's expensive. It's more expensive to bring people in than it is to keep them, much like in most businesses in corporate America. But also, you want to be able to focus on other things and use kind of a fixture of your offense and of your program, because that's what, by nature comes with the quarterback position. You want to use that guy to help recruit other positions.
Absolutely. If you get a quarterback early in a class, especially one that's got clout, where you recruit, that matters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I talk to kids about this personally. Like receivers, no two positions in sports, Zach, are connected more than wide receiver and quarterback.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Sure.
Tight ends probably feel the same way. I mean, you want to get the football. So if you get Deuce, then hypothetically, if you add Duckworth the year after, the thought process I would pitch if I was anybody on Auburn staff is, look, at least one of these two is going to hit. That's how I would pitch every receiver that I brought in.
Has to. Yeah, 100%.
That's what 100%. I would look at.
Yeah, and then of course you got Jackson Arnold on campus for, he's got 2 years left of eligibility. We'll see how all that develops. Like the odds of one of those guys hitting over the next 2 seasons, like you feel pretty good about. So I 100% agree with that. What we've seen Auburn do with this class and then the entirety of last class, I mean, they haven't really had a quarterback committed that much because Deuce committed so late in the process. And you and I had a conversation late last summer about like, it's incredible what they've been able to do on the recruiting front without Deuce officially in the boat. Like it was kind of expected that he was going to flip from Notre Dame to Auburn, but then Ole Miss kind of got into it. And it's like, well, what's about to happen? Like, what is going on with this? And they were still able to put together at the time was a top 5 or 6 class, depending on where you look, without a quarterback. And they got off to a hot start in this class without a quarterback. And now it's kind of slowed down a little bit, but that seems to be a trend everywhere. I don't think that's just an Auburn thing. I think there was so much focus on the portal. You and I talked about that a ton already, but it's about to pick back up because, I mean, we just listed all of Landon Duckworth's visits throughout May and June. That's about to happen with a lot of guys. There's going to be a lot of OVs happening over the next 5-6 weeks or so before, the dead period in the summer hits. So it's about to ramp up, and it's easier to ramp up if you've got a quarterback in your class.
Absolutely. I also, here in just a second, Zach, I want to ask you about what you think the perception is.
Yeah.
Do you think they feel like they've got to have one, like a top guy? Do they just need a guy? We're going to talk about that next here on this crossover edition of Locked On Auburn and Locked On the Portal. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your pair of controllers, subscribe to or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to go. Dive into hundreds of premium titles, including EA Sports College Football 25, Call of Duty, as easily as you stream your favorite TV shows. Speaking of which, I use my Fire Stick all the time. YouTube, Paramount Plus, HBO, whatever it is you're trying to use, you can get it with a Fire Stick. Head over to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller is required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Generation. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. It's also easy for you and your partner to get everything under control in one app, so you don't have to go to a lot of different places to manage everything and set your long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at MonarchMoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's MonarchMoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, Mr. Blackerby, do you think the Auburn staff wants back-to-back like elite quarterback? Landon, I don't know if he's ranked quite as high as Deuce or one. It depends on the network, but it's close. Do you feel they want it that way, or do they really care? What's your take on that?
I mean, early in the cycle, it seemed like the whole thought process was you don't have to swing for the fences for a quarterback this class, but you do need one. And so it seems like they kind of went with Travis Burgess because he didn't really seem that coveted. But you and I agree. You and I were really high on this guy. It's like you turn on the tape, where he plays ball and, the amount of success he's had in a short period of time. It's like, oh, this guy's about to just shoot up rankings before he's done at Grayson because they've got a chance to compete for their state championship every single year. And I just wonder if the overall interest for him shot up quicker than they thought, or maybe they didn't get him quite committed quick enough because, I thought he was going to be committed, a while ago. I think you did too. I don't want to speak for you, and I think the staff thought that as well. So that doesn't happen. North Carolina, who's reportedly, they've got a lot of NIL money, support behind Bill Belichick, which still feels weird to say. I think they thought that they were going to be able to kind of get some value here from an NIL perspective. And I don't think that's necessarily the case anymore. So if you're going to spend all this money, go get the guy who's maybe higher up on your board, which I think is Landon Duckworth. I also think it's valuable with this in-state push that Hugh Freeze and this coaching staff at Auburn have really, really publicly said, this is important to us, as it should be. I think it kind of gives you some ammo there as well. And then, seems like everybody who plays offense with Duck is talented and worth pursuing too. So maybe it helps you there too. This makes a ton of sense, but this isn't a shoe-in situation for Auburn. We mentioned all the schools that he's taking OVs to. This is going to be a tough battle regardless of who ends up with Landon Duckworth.
Yeah, that list. At the end, that's the one to watch. And it's a very unique one. I mentioned earlier, there's the tentacles that you have with Duck. And this is what I meant.
Okay.
He has a serious relationship with Ole Miss. When I spoke to him face-to-face at Elite 11, he said he had the best relationship with that staff at that time. Now, that's been a few weeks, and these things are fluid.
When was that?
Was 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? It's fairly recent, but at the same time.
A lot can change in 3 weeks. We all know it.
With the teenager, especially.
Sure.
Remember when you were 17? Yeah, how consistent were you?
Unfortunately, yeah, absolutely.
So when you look at it like that, you got to say to yourself, okay, where are we? Plus, Florida State, you don't know what you're going to get out. They went after him. Gus got a relationship with him, ironically, because he obviously was coach at Auburn at one point. But I don't buy Florida State getting him. But Georgia is the other wild card. It's still Georgia. And their quarterback room is not where it needs to be. He might have an easier path to playing time there. Ole Miss's room is really good. So Auburn somewhere in the midst of that, depending on what Duck thinks he can do related to Deuce.
Yeah.
I have no idea what he's thinking there. No clue.
Yeah, it's so because if you're a top quarterback, you're going to want to go to a top program or a program that's at least trending in the right direction. But odds are they had a top quarterback from the year prior. And so you're going to have to go to a situation where you're probably going to have to beat somebody out at some point for playing time. And some folks are going to welcome that more than others. We've also seen no other position in college football be as fluid and polarizing as the quarterback position in the transfer portal era. I know you've done a few shows on it. I'm sure the numbers have changed since this past portal window, but if you're a top quarterback, odds are you are more likely to transfer than not during your college career. That's just a fact of the matter now. And so how much does that weigh into your decision? I don't know. It's an interesting situation when you look at Duckworth potentially being in the class behind Deuce Knight.
And then you still got South Carolina, the original school he was committed to as a sophomore.
Are they a threat in this, do you think? He uncommitted from them.
I was talking to John Garcia Jr. the other day, and he knows Duck a little bit, and he said, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up there because what's their depth chart at quarterback? How do they run their quarterback? It's a fit. They use a mobile quarterback. So that's the other. he is really complex to study. He might be the most complex of any quarterback that's uncommitted in the United States.
Complex in the sense of
he could go anywhere.
Who all's recruiting? Yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put a nickel on any bet, no matter what odds you gave me. It's just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
because all of these programs I think all of these programs, if they really wanted him on this OV, sit down with a collective, I think all of them could make him an offer that he couldn't refuse. They all have the means to do it. Does it make sense for all of them to do it?
That's where it's important to ask.
Yeah, and each situation is so different based on the roster, based on recruiting classes. Like, I don't think it makes a ton of sense for Auburn to make him an offer he can't refuse. I don't think it makes sense, personally. But it might for FSU.
That's the one I was going to ask. Like that, because
they need win. That program needs a win off the field.
Oh gosh, that is so kind of you to say it in that manner. Castellanos has a year left. That's this fall.
Yeah.
They don't know where they're at, so that's iffy. Then you look at the other situations. Do you really trust anything if you're Georgia right now? And they got money. Like Georgia, I haven't heard good things about the backup there. And Gunnar Stockton has no experience. You have no idea what you're getting. Even as good a coach as Kirby, he doesn't know yet.
Yeah, but he's the only coach in all of this that can show you multiple national championships.
That's the other thing, though. They may not have to pay as much as, I don't know, I'll just use one as an example, Florida State, and he can say, we're Georgia. If you want to come here, this is how we do it.
Right.
And to be honest, if Duck doesn't want to be a part of that, Georgia should pass. That's my take.
I agree with that. So, yeah, I mean, as far as the complexity of his whole situation, sure, complexity as the athlete and the prospect, we're all in agreement. Like, this guy's good. This guy can play at any of these schools, at any of these conferences, and compete maybe, year 2 or year 3 for a starting job at any of these places, like at least be in the conversation. Like, I don't think that's crazy to say.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he's not a starter for at least 2 seasons in college football. I don't know where it's going to be.
Yeah, right.
So,
and it might not be where he commits to or goes to his freshman year just because of the nature of the transfer portal.
That is what it is, my friend.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way to define the portal other than it's just the portal. There is no other entity like it.
Good or bad. Doesn't matter if you like it or not. That's where we are. That's where we are right now.
Zach, where can everybody find your work, my friend?
Yes, Locked On Auburn, available wherever you get your podcast in on YouTube. However you're watching the portal, you can watch Locked On Auburn there as well.
Absolutely. You can find the portal on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and everywhere else. Please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review. It helps the pod. Appreciate it. We'll see you all again very soon.